Just to start off with some introduction, so I'm Shahid Mulvey, I'm Head of Grants at Leeds Community Foundation and Leeds and Bradford, which means that I have overall kind of responsibility and oversight of the grant making function on behalf of the foundation. I also have a small but hard-working team that helps me with that task, and they're on the call today. So I'm going to ask each of them to introduce themselves. So maybe start off with Maria.
Morning, everyone. I'm Maria Spadafor. I'm a Senior Programmes Officer.
And Alex.
Hi, everyone. Alex Kupis. I'm also Senior Programmes Officer.
And Laurie.
Hi, everyone. I'm Laurie Cummins. I'm a Programmes Officer as well.
And Caitlin.
Hi, everyone. Yeah, Caitlin, and I'm the Grants Administrator for the team.
And we also have another colleague of ours from the comms team. So Jess, do you want to say hi?
Hello, yes, I'm Jess Johnson, Communications Officer.
Okay, so I'm just going to start off with a bit of background information about the foundation, how we make our grants, a little bit about reporting, etc. Just to give you a clear idea of what to expect when you do apply to us. And then we'll go on to talk a little bit about upcoming programs, which I'm sure is the kind of thing that you guys are here for today. So starting off, initially, Leeds Community Foundation and Leeds and Bradford is an independent grant-making organisation. It's one of 46 community foundations now across the country. We're all affiliated to the UKCF, which is the UK's foundation network. And taken together, that network's the fourth largest grant maker in the UK. Regionally, across the Yorkshire and Humber, Leeds Community Foundation and Leeds Bradford is the largest independent funder. As you can see from the slide there, we gave out in 2022 just over £4 million worth of grants and supported just shy of 300 community organisations. So the community foundation model is that we kind of have to raise the money from all sorts of different sources: public sector, private sector, charities, trusts, foundations, high net worth individuals. And what we do is we invest that money through designing and delivering a range of grant programs that we run across Leeds and Bradford to make positive change in those communities. As well as the funding, we also provide a whole host of additional resources and support as well to help community organisations with their projects. And you can find some of that stuff, the kind of resources and toolkits, on our resources page on the website. Next slide, please. So this is our mission statement and the values that underpin all our work. We believe in creating opportunities for all through our programs, being inclusive, fair, honest, transparent. In the current climate, some sections of society are being left behind, and we try to give that support and that little bit of hope through the various funding programs that we run, working with the donors, partners, other community organisations and stakeholders to create positive change in those communities and meet the most pressing needs. Next slide, please. And the application process, so when you come to applying, you'll find that it's pretty straightforward. You can apply through our website. You'll find the criteria, the links to the online application forms are there on our open grants page. Do make sure that you read the guidance thoroughly and check you're eligible before applying. We also have an eligibility checker on our website now, where you can kind of double check that your organisation is eligible. I'd advise you to do that, particularly if it's your very first application to the foundation, just to make sure that you're not going to get knocked back when you submit the application. You'll find that you'll need to be very concise on the form as well. We do have word limits on most of the questions. It's 250 or 500 words on some of these questions. The good news is that you can save your application as a draft and come back to it. So you don't need to complete it in one sitting. You can kind of save it, alter it, make amends, etc. And then when you're ready to click the submit button just before the deadline, obviously. If you do become confused or you're unstuck when completing the form or something's not quite clear, then do please give us a call. One of the team will be quite willing and able to help you if you get stuck. So once you submit the form, you will get a confirmation of receipt via email, and your form will then go to one of the team for assessment. Incidentally, we've now got a couple of example application forms, which have been completed by one of the team, Maria, I think it was, and it's on our resource page on the website, so do take a look as an example of how to complete one of our forms, so hopefully that should help. And moving on to the next slide, please. So these are some of our standard criteria that apply across all funds. So some funds will also have some additional project criteria that you need to meet as well. So it's really important that you kind of read the criteria document in full. But these are standard ones that apply for all programs. So you do need to be a not-for-profit organization or a social enterprise with these following things in place. So at least 3 trustees, directors on your management committee, independent, unrelated, and none of them have more than 50% control of the organization. A governing document, basically the rules of how you operate, the constitution, memonarchs, show how your group is managed. And please check that you are eligible, in terms of incorporation and registration, and that'll be clearly stated on the criteria document for the fund that you're applying for. A bank or building society account in the name of your organization, minimum of 2 unrelated signatories. We'll need a set of your accounts or a record of your income and expenditure, just to show that you're good at managing your money, etc. If you're a brand new group, you will need to provide a bank statement or a project budget at the very least. And obviously, if your project does involve working with children or adults that are deemed to be at risk, you'll need to have a safeguarding policy in place as well. Next slide, please. Okay, so in terms of decision making, for each of our funds, we convene a grants panel to make the decisions on the grants. And these have been assessed by our team. We don't actually make any of the decisions on the grants. It's sometimes a surprise for people. So we present our assessments on the applications to the panel as a set of panel papers, and it's the panel members that make the decisions. So the panels are usually made up of funders, partners, community representation with lived experience on that particular issue or theme being considered. It's usually chaired by one of the team, myself or one of my colleagues, and the grants officers or the program officers will also attend. They kind of take minutes and respond to any queries that the panel members might have about any particular application. And the decisions are taken through majority vote, consensus decision making at the panel, and they usually provide a lot of insight and feedback on each of the applications as well. And we note that and share that with the applicant as well in terms of feedback when we're communicating the decision back to them. Next slide, please. So yeah, so for the majority of the grants, they last for 12 months. And at the end of that, you'll have to complete a end of grant monitoring report that we ask everybody to complete, and we'll tell you, when that monitoring is due as well as part of your funding agreement. And people tend to leave this right till the end, and it's actually something that you should consider right at the beginning, at the application stage. What your outcomes are going to be, what you're hoping to achieve, how you're going to measure and demonstrate the impact that your work's going to be having. And we want this to be a useful exercise for you as well, so that you can grow and get better as an organization. We don't want people to kind of airbrush everything out. Things do happen, and don't always go to plan. So we're interested to know what worked, what didn't work, what you learned, what you might do differently if you had another opportunity. So don't be afraid to kind of tell us a story in terms of the journey that you went on as part of that project. And you can use lots of different proven approaches to capture the impact and learning as well. Some organizations use case studies. You can possibly run a survey before and after, capture quantitative and qualitative data. Some people record videos, get quotes and testimonials from participants. But just make sure that you've got all the necessary permission from the participants to share with us as well. And that's it. So I'm going to hand over now to the team and to Laurie, I believe, who's going to start to take us through some of the current grant programs that we've got on offer.
Hi everyone. So I'm just going to talk through a couple of programs that are open now. So we've got first off the Bradford Fund microgrants. So we have Bradford Fund microgrants and we also have Leeds Fund microgrants. The one you apply for is just about where you're delivering your activity and where you're based. So these are smaller grants aimed at smaller, less established organisations very often, and they are between 500 and 2,500 over 1 year. Deadline is the end of the month, but if you miss this round, don't worry, we run it quarterly. So if you're not ready for this round, hang on and you can apply in April. And so on and so forth. So yeah, for the Bradford Fund this round, it's about supporting organisations to take a little bit of time and space to have a look at their organisational development. So as it says here, that can be impact-based, it can be to do with your governance, your finances, awareness and purpose. That obviously covers a lot of activity. It's up to you to tell us what you need. To give some examples, some people have had a little bit of money for training, taking on small research projects, things like that. There you go. Next slide, please, Jess. So then the Leeds Fund microgrants, a little bit different in terms of criteria to the Bradford Fund this month. They will be aligning a little bit more from the next round on. So this is for, as it says, small community and volunteer-led projects. It's really about bringing your community together and supporting people in whichever way is appropriate for you. It's about creating healthy and happy communities. So if you have a small idea or need a little bit of money for something that will boost your community in any of the ways listed here, then yeah, please send us an application. I'll keep it brief, but if you have any questions about them, please do pop them in the chat and we'll answer them for you. Thanks, Jess.
Morning, everyone. Switching my mic on there. So I'm going to be sharing with you the Mohn Westlake Arts Engagement Fund, which is currently open to applications from organisations and activities based in Leeds. So we're really pleased to be working with Mohn Westlake Foundation once again. We've delivered this programme before. If you've applied or looked at this before, you'll see it's ever so slightly different this year. This programme focuses on reducing barriers to creative engagement for young people in Leeds. And it's about creating participatory activities for children and young people. And that creative activity can be really broadly defined. So anything from visual arts and crafts to performing arts to zine making, film making, podcasting, anything you come up with. We look forward to kind of seeing what ideas you've got and the ideas that young people have. It's quite timely. I was just reading this morning, Joe Cox Foundation have just released some information about 62% of young people being unable to afford kind of social and fun activities at the moment because of the cost of living crisis. So a real opportunity here to kind of tap into that really. So the grant sizes are from £2,500 up to £10,000 over 1 year. As I said, has to be Leeds based. The deadline for applications is the 28th of February and decisions will be circulated late April. So that would mean any activity would start around early May or May onwards. So the types of things that can be funded, as I mentioned, that participatory activity that engages children and young people, and we define young people as up to the age of 20, up to the age of 25 if they've got additional needs such as a learning disability and so on. Opportunities should be really think about that accessibility and think about the types of barriers young people experience when it comes to engaging with the arts. So that might be about the cost, it might be about where it's located, it might be about kind of more physical barriers, or it might be more cultural barriers. So lots of different kind of things to consider there. And really that's about knowing your young people and what their needs are. In making the activities accessible, you can also think about costs like transport for participants, even things like food, childcare, and so on. And they should ideally offer sustained opportunities for young people over the grant period. So it's not necessarily about a one-off workshop that coincides with a production, for example. It's about that more longer term engagement and also really thinking about what the next steps are for those young people. So can you signpost them, for example, to other activities or opportunities once your project ends? Applicants must have an income under £500,000 in the last financial year. And the funding pot that we've got available this year is 127,500. So we anticipate making around 12 to 15 awards for that one. So moving on to the next slide, we've got lunch clubs, and this programme, the dates are still to be confirmed, but the content is pretty much as we've delivered in previous years. So funds come from Leeds City Council for this one. There's no grant size as such. The grants are determined by the amount of people who apply and the funding pot available. So effectively that funding pot is split between all of the successful applicants and determined in part by how often their sessions run and how many people tend to come to their lunch clubs each week. But generally speaking, grant sizes can start at around a few £100s, but generally don't exceed around 2,500 for that activity. So the lunch clubs is very much about delivering that weekly lunch club for people. So obviously food, it can cover things like running costs, rent, training, meal and food costs, obviously, also volunteer expenses and transport costs for some of your kind of clients who might have some accessibility needs and so on. Previously funded groups will need to submit a monitoring form as part of their application, and that will all be clear once the criteria is released for this fund. And groups will also need to be registered as a food provider. And the guidance around that is that they need to be registered at least 28 days before delivery begins, and obviously need to have all the necessary food hygiene training, certification and all of that in place, alongside clear food safety management systems. So that's it from me, thank you.
Hi everyone. So I'll be talking about the last 3 programmes that we have open and upcoming. So the first one is Ideas That Change Lives. So this programme has been funded through Leeds City Council's Adult Social Care Initiative, and it aims to ensure that there's services available to help people to live independently. There's a list of the types of people that can be supported for this fund on the criteria, so please do refer to that before applying. So this programme is a little bit different. It offers business guidance as well as actual grants to organisations and individuals to develop kind of social enterprising ideas, as I said, to improve the health and well-being and for people to remain independent. As part of this application process, and also prior to applying, we ask all prospective applicants to contact Louise Roberts, who's a director at See Ahead, to discuss your proposal to ensure it's viable. So Loanne herself is a social enterprise professional and can give free advice on your potential ideas and also check for eligibility for this programme. It's also good to say that her offer on this is actually open all year round. So if you'd like to get in contact, obviously about this programme, but also, throughout the year, if you have an idea, you can do so, and that's free of charge. So we've got 2 tiers for this grant programme. The first one is the Kickstart grants. These are smaller grants between £500 and £4,000, and they're for organisations that have this social enterprising idea that I've said, who are looking to support people to remain independent, however, need a little bit of support from us to develop this idea further. So we're looking obviously to fund these activities and also for them to become financially sustainable beyond the end of the grant. So the types of activities that could be funded from the Kickstarts could be consultancy work, feasibility studies, a pilot project, anything that will help you develop your idea further. The second tier are the development grants. So these are a little bit bigger. They're £4,000 to £12,000. And they are, again, to support people to remain independent. However, we expect you to be an incorporated body and have a business plan in place already. We also, expect that you've potentially piloted your service or activity before, or it's been at least well researched. It needs to be capable of delivering on a sustainable basis through income generation, so contracts, people paying for services perhaps, and the types of activities that could be funded from this could be, you know, alternatives to traditional daycare, or support services, health and wellbeing, and employment opportunities. As I said, for the development grants, you would definitely need to submit a cash flow forecast and a business plan as part of your application. And with the Kickstart grant, if you have both of those already as part of your project, that's really fantastic, and please do submit them. But if you don't, that is also absolutely fine. You'll just need to kind of state in the application form when and how you will develop those kind of in the future or during the grant itself. Both grants are to run for 12 months, and we're looking to kind of open this mid-April, closing kind of early June. So decisions will hopefully go out sometime in, you know, August, hopefully. Next, please. Thank you. So the next one we have are the Leeds Fund strategic grants. So this has been set up through LCF itself, and this will be our third cohort of strategic grants that we've run. So this focuses on addressing the resilience of community organisations. So supporting these organisations themselves, kind of around core costs rather than kind of specific projects. So it's looking to kind of encourage this strategic work alongside daily delivery. It's to enable leaders and teams to reflect on successes and challenges that they face, identify priority development objectives and kind of plan towards those, and hopefully kind of learning and adapting throughout if needed. So the objectives could be kind of operational changes, such as developing or changing your delivery model, developing new services, training staff, financial planning and resilience, articulating or even developing, you know, a mission statement, values, vision, hiring new trustees, potential funding strategies or operational strategies, measuring your impact and value, or even kind of assessing and creating new and existing partnerships. So there's a full list of kind of what each of them mean on the criteria. Again, this programme has kind of 2 tiers for grants. So we can accept applications from organisations that have an annual income between 75,000 and 500,000, but also another tier of 500,000 to 1 million. With the higher bracket, we ask those who do apply to us to demonstrate that they're not only building their own resilience, but also supporting the resilience of other organisations and kind of, or the wider sector itself. And that's in the application form as well. We hope to make in the region of 12 grants to kind of the income up to 500,000 and up to 4 for the larger organisations. All successful applicants will receive a fixed grant of 30,000 for the 2 years, so that'll be 15,000 per year. The fund is currently open and is looking to close on the 17th of February. Next, please, Jess. Thank you. So this is the last one that we have that's coming up. It's the Men's Suicide Prevention Programme. So we've run this for a few years now, and it's been designed with public health, looking to fund community organisations and initiatives aimed around people with a high risk of suicide. The focus is to support kind of social activities determined by local participants themselves, and to provide kind of that outreach work for targeted communities to reduce social isolation. So this one is also quite specific. It has a lot of information that will be on the criteria that's been pulled from public health on suicide rates in Leeds. So the criteria should be kind of similar to the previous years, but there might be a few amendments around kind of the rates itself, but the majority of the work will still be aimed at supporting men. However, from national research and evidence quite locally, other groups are also at risk of suicide or experience risk factors. So could be the LGBTQIA+ communities, or people kind of facing racial inequity. So please do check the criteria before applying. There are 2 tiers as well for this programme. So we have small grants that are up to £10,000 that aim to develop social activities determined by the participants. and they can be kind of pilot projects, helping with capacity building or small scale research. The larger grants are between 10,000 and 25,000 and have the same aims as the small grants. However, we're looking to kind of see that more sustained engagement and empowerment of local people, kind of widening the access of local services, and yeah, helping emerging groups perhaps to develop, so kind of in partnership with others. Both of these grants are also 12 months, and we're looking to open the fund on the 20th of February or thereabouts, and it looks to close on the 5th of April at 12 noon. Thank you.
Okay, I think we can take some questions. I think we can stop sharing the screen maybe. Are there any questions from anybody? We will be sharing the slides and the recording, I believe, afterwards. Is that right? Yes, we usually do that, don't we? We send it around to people that have attended. So you'll have that information anyway. But if there's any pressing questions from what you've just seen or heard.
Can I ask a question, please?
Oh, yes. Yes.
I'd like to apply to the Mohn Westlake Arts Engagement Fund,
Okay.
a charity, an arts charity. My registered address of the charity is registered in Wakefield. That's where we're based, but we work all across West Yorkshire, and the project I'm thinking of applying for will be based and working in partnership with Yorkshire Dance in Leeds. So the whole project will take place in Leeds, but I'm just checking that as a charity based in Wakefield, that's still okay.
Unfortunately, Kelly, the criteria is quite strict this year that both the organisations and the activity have to be based in Leeds Metropolitan District. If you had a local branch and an office in Leeds, that would be acceptable, but if your organisation's Wakefield, I'm afraid not.
Okay, so even though it's in partnership with Yorkshire Dance?
If Yorkshire Dance were making the application, working in partnership, that might work, but that would also depend on their income levels, which I suspect might be higher than our parameters for this fund, I'm afraid. Okay. But check with them.
All right then, thank you.
Okay, any more questions?
And I just ask, thank you, by the way, for putting on this useful event. There's some of the programs that you've announced today that aren't live yet and therefore aren't on your website. Is there any more information about them and the criteria and stuff available now, or do we need to wait until the grant opens to get all that in writing?
Yeah, we usually, we put it on the website so everybody has it at the same time. I suppose, in terms of fairness, when we launch the program, we put it on the website and everybody has it for the same length of time and everything else.
And sign up to our email alerts if you're not already, because then you get that immediate alert.
That's true. If you sign up to the grants alerts, we can kind of send that out as soon as it's.
Yeah, if you've got those handy, if you can share them in the chat, that'd be great.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Oh, Sangeet's just asked a question about Mohn Westlake. Art definitely includes music and poetry.
Arts in its broadest sense.
Yeah.
We have a hand up from Jamie as well.
Yes, Jamie.
Hi there. Yeah, so we're interested in going for the strategic grant. Our accounts, so our last accounts, we wouldn't have hit the 75,000 threshold, but this year we will. So are we still eligible to apply, even though our last accounts we weren't at that level, but we now are?
I think the criteria is last 12 months, from memory.
But yeah, just from looking, it said last accounts, which we obviously was last April. So,
do you want to contact me afterwards, Jamie?
Yeah.
I'll have a look at it, see if we can work something out.
Brilliant, thank you.
Any other questions? A few. Thanks, Laurie. Laurie's answering the questions in the chat. Okay, I think that's call it a morning. And thanks very much, everybody, for attending. Hopefully you found that useful. We will circulate the information after today's session as well, so you have that. If there are any further questions, do contact us about anything at all, and we'll be more than willing to help you out.